Hey guys, welcome back for another game. This time I'm playing against Dan. Great player. His deck looks pretty sweet. Um, Sorry if I'm being quiet. My voice has been a little sore all day, so you know I'm playing mono blue again, and I have the Vendilion Clique. If you've seen a few of my videos recently, you know how much I've been enjoying this. Clicks the 3/1 flyer flash to uh, take a non-land out of their hand and put it on the bottom of their deck, and then let them replace it. Really, I've actually enjoyed using Vendilion Clique as a Gataxian probe, rather than strictly hand hate. Just knowing what your opponent's on gives you so much information for counterspells. My opponent, Dan's playing Scion of the Ur-Dragon, so very powerful 5-color commander. Out of the gate, when I first see opponents sit down with a Scion deck, my first assumptions are Reanimator combo. Scion can get quite potent, but even left to have a single attack step, it can kill you. The way that it does that is, if you can give Scion haste, 9 mana will do it. If he can't get haste, it's 5 mana the turn Scion comes down, and then 4 of that mana the following turn. And the way that you do it is at least on Magic Online, you hold control to retain priority, and activate the ability twice. So with the first search, you get Molten Steel Dragon, and pay a whole bunch of life. With the Fire Breathing ability for Phyrexian mana instead of regular mana. And then you go get one of 2 dragons, usually Dragon Tyrant or Dragon Lord Atarka. Oh no, not Dragon Lord Atarka, Atarka World Render, the double strike. So you then have a Scion of the Ur-Dragon that's been pumped several times. Atarka swings as a 6/6 normally, so you would have to pump it by 5 points to get double striking damage, which would put you to 10 life down, so it's 4 mana, 10 life, and an attack step will instantly win the game because you'll have an 11/11 double striker. Or Dragon Tyrant, it starts at 9 power if I'm correct, and so if you're short on life, you can get Dragon Tyrant instead, who can also Fire Breathe by itself, and is a double strike trample. So you have to pay at least, you have to pump at least twice, and that would put you down 4 life, if I'm getting those numbers correct. And then, of course, Scion of the Ur-Dragon can play the Royal Gorger Dragon Reanimator combo, because Scion of the Ur-Dragon is half of the combo, effectively. And that goes off the turn after Scion comes down, typically. Or the turn Scion comes down if you have 4 open mana. So the numbers that to be afraid of are 4 open mana the turn Scion gets cast, or Scion plus protection, or letting him untap with Scion, are the 2 things that I don't want to happen. Got a serviceable hand. I have Steel Sabotage for any early game shenanigans, Spell Pierce, Sky Diamond, a couple lands, so I have more than enough mana to get me where I need to go. So I believe I keep this. Dan kept 7 as well, and I know the replay works as well. Just a good luck, have fun. Alright, so our opponent leads on Vivid Crag. I'm happy to see that. It means it's not Sol Ring, and typically the super cutthroat versions of Scion, which you can run into online, will not be playing the Vivids. Though I think the 5-color cutthroat commander of choice right has become General Tazri, the ally commander. Alright, Pungify, that'll be helpful. It's actual removal, one of the new additions to the deck. I don't care about 3/3s on the ground. You can hit me with them all day long. I can hit you faster. And he just charges up his Calcium Pools. He doesn't even try to bluff anything. And I guess it's just so he can F8. But that's fine with me. Alright, so I'm just going to land the Sky Diamond. The and Cold Steel Heart are virtually identical. I just wanted to keep them on tilt for all the white borders. Alright. So charges again, and a tricolor land. That's fine. Alright, so land. I'm gonna... I don't really feel like I'm under pressure to deploy Vendilion Clique here, so I'm just gonna try to set up my mana for the entire game. It's a Cold Steel Heart, and I'm gonna sit on Arcane Denial or one of these two. This storage is rapidly making Spell Pierce unappealing, so the first chance I get, I'm gonna try to fire that off. Swiftfoot Boots, well, that doesn't... I have the option to Seal Sabotage that, but I'm honestly not really afraid of it. If I really need to and there's nothing else I can do, I can bounce it, but it doesn't do anything by itself. And he's going to charge up again, so that's fine with me. So I'm going to land, get the expedition map down. Right here, I'm thinking I could go get Strip Mine, take out this Cal's Form Pools. Other than that, he's only got 2 sources of colors, so that might be a big hit to him, but of course my opponent then plays Command Tower. Well, the play is still probably good. This makes it less appealing because I'm not really cutting him off of any solid color or multicolor. Psychic Intrusion. Target opponent reveals his or her hand. You choose a non-land card from exile. You may cast that card as long as it remains exile and spend mana as though it remained of any color. Well, he's just going to take one of my counter spells or my Pong. Like, I don't want him to have any of this stuff. So that is an easy target, and it's giving me an option to use that Spell Pierce. Because if he had 1 mana open, he could use 1 and remove all of these counters as well. It doesn't matter. You don't have to tap the pools to move counters from it. So I figured that was probably one of my only options to Spell Pierce this game. So I figured I would pop it off there. And rather than using map, I figured this is a good time to get my clock down. I can do everything I want in the world with setup, but if I don't put a clock on him, my deck will eventually be just run over by the fact that he's going to have bigger spells than I will, or he'll get more mana to cast his commander eventually. I need to put him on a clock, despite as much as I would like to tap mana and get Strip Mine right here, so I would have a full untap. I'd rather get in for 3 here. And I take a peek at what he's working with. Alright, so let's see. Riku of 2 Reflections. So, he's got the mana to cast it, but I'm not terrified of it, and if I really need to, he'll probably put boots on it before trying to do anything, and I can Pongify in response. Karadek Leviathan. The Unearth Mass Bounce. Well, that doesn't bother me that much. I don't know why this is in his deck. I figure it's just a second Cyclonic Rift, effectively, that he gets to use twice. And Magister Sphinx, and I decided to take the Sphinx out of his hand here. He's at 3, 6, 7 mana, so it actually could have cast this turn, potentially, but I figured he wanted to try to steal a counterspell from me first, or bait out a counterspell. So I take the Sphinx out, mostly because he's able to cast it next turn, and while I could still sabotage it, I'd rather save this on something that I can remove that isn't an absolute necessity to stop, because if I let him 10 me, he also has this 5/5 that flies, and I can't get through. So because it just represents so much of a tempo advantage, doming me for 30 life, being able to block click, or potentially being reanimated. I'm still not sure if he's a reanimator deck or not. I decided to take the Sphinx out. I would rather it be on the bottom of his library than be in the graveyard if I had to counter it with something like Arcane Denial or kill it with Pongify. So Sphinx goes down. Knock that out of there. Okay. So pick up more lands. Never a bad thing. As long as I'm sitting on this Arcane Denial, I don't feel under too much threat. I'm just going to leave the map here. Right now I'm thinking I might want to get Riptide Laboratory. Alright, so Plains. And Chromatic Lantern. I'll let that go. I figured he's on color already. White, red, green, white, all 5, one more time, and a bunch of mana. Chromatic Lantern's not really going to do too much for him. All he did was play 3 visit, or no, Farseek, sort of. Yeah, the portal one that goes and gets, it's basically Farseek, but it's untapped. And he goes for Scion with 1 open, and I assume this 1 is going to be put on Swiftfoot, so he's just trying to dome me for 4 here. And I have the option to Pongify or Arcane Denial here. And I actually decided to go with Arcane Denial because I want to actually try to draw some action, and Arcane Denial is probably going to be my best bet. Pongify I want to save as like the emergency. This way also, he's getting less time to attack me with an ape if I do have to use Pongify at some point. So less attacks on me is ideal. And of course I'm going to crack a map here. I just want to be able to thin my deck a little of a land. I'm going to get an extra draw on my turn, so I decided to go for Blighted Cataract. I've got a lot of mana already, so this is it here for the reason of, alright, I want to draw some more cards. So I go for the Cataract instead of Riptide. So I stack him wrong, of course. Not that it really matters, he's tapped out. And I get Standstill. Oh man, is Standstill a great card. Alright, so I play the Cataract. Get him for 3. And I slam the Standstill. Now, if you notice, I don't have quite enough to crack the Cataract and draw underneath this, but that's okay. Standstill is going to be good by itself. If you don't know what this card does, it's whenever a player casts a spell, sacrifice Standstill. If you do, each of that player's opponents draws 3 cards. So you can respond to this trigger and cast something else, but you don't want to because then it will trigger again, and then each of your opponents will draw 3. And then when you go to sacrifice it the first time, it won't be around, so you won't get 3 when your opponent cracks it. But I've got him under a clock. He is forced to make the first move for Standstill, because if he doesn't, Vendilion Clique's just going to beat him in the face and kill him eventually. And there's nothing with his current lands that he can do about it. It's not like he has a Maze of Ith in play, which, albeit, would be pretty good at trying to force me to break this. Alright, so Island. And I see him tapping mana, so this is probably the correct play. Casting into Standstill isn't an ever good feeling, but the more time that he gives me with this, the worse it's going to get for him. Right now I'm tapped. This is the only time I'm going to have this much mana tapped. Might as well break it now, and this is something people don't usually understand. It gets played a lot in Vintage, a little bit in Legacy, is you just got to accept I played a 2-mana sorcery that drew me 3 cards. And there's nothing really you can do about it. You Crows and Grip it, it will still trigger. Stifle, it'll trigger again. Alright, so Scion of the Dragon, 1 mana open again. So I assume he's going to go for the Swiftfoot Boots line here, instead of leaving that mana open. So I decided to, even though I could Mana Leak it or Mystic Confluence, I kind of want to save these. Mana Leak's it doesn't have a lot of efficiency, but all of his counters are gone. So it's gotten better than it was previously. So he goes for the Equip, and I'm going to give him an ape. Isn't it so cute? Terrifying. Okay, so this was just about getting blue mana down. Nykthos doesn't do anything for me then. Filter at the cost of a mana. So I'm just going to get in for 3. That puts him up to 9 total so far. Alright, and I think I slammed the Sapphire Medallion here. Now I have enough because putting Sapphire Medallion down allows me to either A, crack the Cataract for 1, 5, 6, so I can draw 2. Or I can Mana Leak 1, 2, 3, 4, Mystic Confluence, and then I would still have 2 mana open if I draw anything off the Confluence, or Steel Sabotage. So, although my goal here is to crack the Cataract. I feel like now it's going to be my time. He doesn't have the mana to deploy Scion for 9 mana right now, so now is when I have to do it. One moment. Sorry about that. There was a question being asked of me. Okay. So he doesn't have the mana to deploy Scion here, and I figure now is going to be the best time to tap out for this Cataract. Binding of Thassa, though, that's going to change my plans. Fortunately, this is an artifact, and I believe that is a much worthier target of Steel Sabotage than Swiftfoot Boots, because if I had counted Swiftfoot Boots earlier, or the Lantern, I would have been tapping out for my Mystic Confluence here with 2 modes on counter, so it would have been Cryptic Command. I suppose I could have Confluence plus Mana Leak and cycled the Mana Leak effectively, but I love countering that there. And he's going to try to Mystic Snake in response. And I think that's a good play on his part. Unfortunately, I have the Mana Leak for that, and Biden's not going to come down. Biden, if you don't know it, whenever a creature you control deals damage, combat damage to player, you draw a card. And blue 1, creatures your opponents control attack. So it's Coastal Piracy plus Taunting Goblin. Or Goblin Diplomats. I think it's Goblin Diplomats. Alright, so pick up Manifold. Alright, so more mana is definitely not what I need here, but I'm going to play it out anyway. Nykthos doesn't really produce anything. It's a colorless source, and it's not my best colorless source right now. So, Mana Vault down. You should all know what Mana Vault does. And I'm just going to sit on this Confluence. And while I have this in my hand, I am not worried about anything. I just put him to 12 commander damage. So, 3 more attacks. Signet, and he's tapping mana. Intet the Dreamer. Well, I decide that I'm going to... I cracked the Cataract here. I have enough mana to Mystic Confluence with 1 left, if I need to. And I really want to see if I have a different counterspell than the Confluence here. I get Memory Lapse. That's amazing. So I'm just going to Memory Lapse that. And this is so much better than Confluence here. This is putting us back on top of his deck, so he has to spend next turn drawing Intet again, instead of drawing an actual card. So it's effectively buying me 1 more turn of hits with Vendilion Clique. And he's going to Boots the Ape, and you know what, that's fine with me. Alright. The Ape has marvelous footwear. I'm going to pay for this just right away. I have enough mana to use Mystic Confluence. Alright. And now I have enough mana to Mystic Confluence, which costs 4, and Psionic Blast, which costs 2, and not even have to tap my Mana Vault. So this is great shape here. So I get in, opponent up to 15, 2 turns away. And I still have this counterspell sitting in my hand. And that Bladed Cataract was probably a good fetch earlier. Intet. Alright, so now we're going to Confluence with, unfortunately, he's got exactly 3 untapped. He didn't go for anything else first. So I have to counter draw. So I only get to cycle it. And I pick up an island. And he decides to charge. So, I hit play for a sec. Alright, so he charged up, beat in for 3. I drew a land off that, and then hybridization for turn, so Pongify number 2. And I'm going to get in, push him up to 18. And now I have 2 removal spells in hand, so he needs to... If he removes Vendilion Clique, I have more than enough mana to recast it. So, dealing with Clique at sorcery speed, that is, doesn't really do anything for him. He needs to deal with it on my turn, generally in my upkeep, so I won't draw a counterspell first. So his sorcery speed removal's out, so he can't Damnation, Wrath of God, any of that. Now, instant speed removal would delay me for a little bit, but that's okay. I have enough mana that I'll just recast Clique on his end step, and I can force him to have instant speed removal for quite a few turns. Now if he has a blocker with less than 4 toughness, or 4 or less, I can Psionic Blast it. If its toughness is greater than 4, I have hybridization, so I have 2 removal spells. So he needs 2 blockers with greater than 4 toughness. Conveniently, Scion of the Ur Dragon is exactly 4. So I can Psionic Blast it in response to him activating a search, if I need to. So I could, if he casts that, I try to go for the hybridization. In response, he goes, gets it, something, tries to activate it, so he can go get something with Shroud, and I can blast it in response. I don't think he has enough though. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So he could play that, but do absolutely nothing else, not even equip. So that's probably not his best play here. Alright, so we'll see what he does. Tapping mana. Oros the Avenger, and this is probably one of my favorite Mardu commanders. It's definitely not the best, but just looks so regal and really feels like a dragon just burning stuff. Sunlance. Sunlance is the board, which is a pretty cool flavor. So Oros the Avenger, 3-color dragon. And you know what? That is a great target for hybridization. So I believe I put a stop. Yeah, I put a stop when he goes to combat. Well, no, he tried to equip boots, so that way he can hit me for 6, or at least protect the dragon. And I'm not gonna let that happen. So I'm gonna give him the Frog Lizard. And I think he went for boots. I jumped through it real quick there. He went for boots, and I started tapping mana, and he just scooped him up. Overall, this was a pretty good game, but I wanted to highlight the strength of this deck even without Sovereign Mana Crypt when you play the tempo matchup, and recognizing that you have to get, if you play Vendilion Clique, you have to get Vendilion Clique down as the clock as quickly as possible, even if it means putting your shields down for a second on their end step and opening Clique up to removal, potentially. Or not doing something else, like I chose not to tutor for Strip Mine there and get Clique down, because if you don't have a clock, you just give them more than enough time. I'm down to a single card in my hand. He still has 22 life. There's no way I'm going to kill him without commander damage before he draws something with all of this mana going on. So I hope you guys enjoyed the game. I want you to like, subscribe, favorite. It really helps out. If you want more Commander gameplays, check out Brian Weissman's channel. I've played a couple games with him so far. He just uploaded one with myself playing Rain against his Azami deck. It was a pretty fun matchup, albeit I had a pretty powerful opening, but it was a cool turnaround, and I look forward to our next match. But I hope you guys enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in the next one.